Hi, I'm Jem.
And I'm Victoria.
And this is The Criminal Crack.
The Criminal Crack!
Shall we do what we do when we write in public?
Oh, never.
Oh, I've been listening to something new recently, Victoria.
What have you been listening to, Jem?
It's this podcast. It's by two local women.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crime. Do you like crime?
I love a bit of true crime, yeah.
Yeah. It's called The Criminal Crack.
The Criminal Crack?
The Criminal Crack.
Wow.
And then we get progressively louder.
And then usually your son says, stop self-advertising.
Yeah, the audacity. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. The sun's been shining. It makes me so happy.
It makes me happy too, although I was not happy this morning with the wind.
It is deceptive. It is deceptive though, because
Both winds.
It's not actually warm out there.
It's
just
not.
The sun is shining, and it's nice when I'm perched in my little window. I sound like a canary when I'm perched in my window doing my work. It's good.
At least we know there's no carbon monoxide with you around.
That's true, because if I fell off my perch.
And have you got over the hangover?
I can't believe you just called me a carbon monoxide detector. That is like
Is that not a nice-
horrible thing to call somebody.
That's a lifesaver. You're like a first responder.
Okay.
Hangover gone?
No.
So Victoria and I had a works night out, but we had the family with us. We went to a quiz in the Spey Community Hall. Big shout out to not the community, what are they called? The people on the board.
To chair people, the
No,
community fundraising...
Committee!
That's
Thank
it.
you very much to the committee for having us. Special shout out to Gary, who Victoria could not understand at all because he speaks very fast and in a very Scottish accent. But we had a ball, didn't we? It was a quiz. Did I say that?
Yeah, it was a quiz, and we had fun, and it was a bring your own. It was a BYOBAN, which was bring your own bottle and nibbles. Nibbles.
Oh, we had nibbles and those. Anybody had the KP nuts that are, what are they, rosemary and sea salt?
Rosemary and sea salt cashew nuts.
That's what I meant. What did I say?
No, you said KP. That's the brand.
Oh, yeah, I thought I'd said the type of nut. But it was really good. We did pretty well. I was really concerned that my only contribution was going to be to sit there.
No, you answered a few questions correctly.
I did.
I answered a few questions correctly.
You got quite a lot of questions.
I know stuff. It's stuff that is only ever useful at a general knowledge quiz.
Yeah, but it was useful.
Yeah.
Because we did real good.
Take me to quizzes, people.
But it was BYOBAN, and Victoria brought, and this is not an advertisement, but if they'd like to get in touch with us, we'd be happy to accept sponsorship. But is it Aviation Gin?
Aviation Gin. It was the company that I think Ryan Reynolds bought years ago because he loved the gin, and it is delicious. It's really citrusy and yummy and nom nom nom. One of my favourites because I do like Hendrix as well, but not sponsored by.
It was very nice, but I'm not a big drinker, not like the
Neither
lush
am I.
over there. No, you're a big drinker, you just can't handle it.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I nearly died.
But you kept topping me up, but not putting any tonic in. And I said to you, that's enough. Don't give me any more. And I turned around and she's giving me more. So I ended up with 2 limes down my top to make my boobs look bigger. So that if I won a raffle prize, I was just going to walk up all nonchalant.
And tried to not drop the limes out of her boobs.
Yeah, one did drop at one point. Yep, so we were at the quiz and we did really well. And then I was drunk the week before as well because I went to Mother's Day. I went for
You
a
went
meal.
for a brunch or something, didn't you?
It was lunch.
Oh.
But I started, there was a cocktail, was it a St. Oh, it was a something leprechaun, because it was obviously coming up for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, that was on the 17th of March, wasn't it? Which was the Monday, I think.
Yeah, but yeah.
But Mother's Day was lovely. I got woken up very early in the morning by my 18-year-old son bringing me some daffodils, which is very nice. Yeah, and then my mum and I had a little box fizz.
Very nice.
At breakfast time, and then I think I was actually working on my episode for the rest of the day, so...
I think you were.
Oh, but I was, but I was working on a different
one because
episode,
this is your way. So I went out for lunch with my mum and then went over to the witch's house, drank more, and I was playing with my sister-in-law. Keela is an absolute genius when it comes to music. She's like you, she knows everything. And
so
she's into the Beatles now.
She can join us to beat the intro and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, we were
cool.
playing Beat the Intro, but I kept standing up and I was trolleyed. I was singing at the top of my voice. It was 4:00 in the afternoon. And I looked around.
You tried
at
to make
Keela.
it sound better by saying the evening. No,
I
it's
know.
4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, not in the morning.
Daylight hours.
Poor Keela had a blanket wrapped around her head and she was just staring at me with this, like, oh my God face, so we stopped.
Why did she have a blanket wrap? Was it to try not to listen to you?
I don't know what was going on, but I definitely outstayed my welcome. But it was good.
But you had good fun.
Did.
And that is what life is all about.
It surely is, and I'm looking forward to your episode.
Excellent.
Because it's your week this week.
It is, and I did go, I changed direction.
This does not surprise me. So, shall we get going?
Let's get crack-a-lackin'.
Okay, Victoria, tell me, what is the crack?
Well, this episode takes us back to Victorian England, to the quaint and sleepy rural market town of Alton in Hampshire. Hampshire is approximately 70 miles south of London.
Okay.
It's where a lot of my family live, actually, on my mum's side. Another one of those places where nothing much ever happened.
Oh, I was about to say to you, when you said it was however many miles south, I was going to go, but do you mean up or down? But I get it. Is that where Alton Towers is?
No.
Oh. Is it spelt the same?
Yes.
Oh.
It was the 24th of August in 1867. It was a bright hot day, the height of British summertime, and 3 young girls headed out to play in the afternoon sunshine. It was around 1:30 when the girls, 2 sisters, Fanny aged 8, Lizzie aged just 7 years old, and their 7-year-old friend, Minnie, skipped down the lane toward Flood Meadow by the River Way, an area known locally as the Hollows. The area was approximately 400 metres away from the girls' homes. The sisters and Minnie all lived on Tanhouse Lane, and it was somewhere familiar to them. Like, they played there a lot.
It wasn't unusual for them to be there.
And parents had no concern in letting their children roam freely around Alton, and there was nothing unusual in allowing even very young children to go out and play in this quintessential countryside village, which at the time had a population of less than 3,500 people.
Oh, it is little.
Yeah. The girls had only just begun playing in the meadow that day when a well-dressed man appeared and started talking to the youngsters. It's like, roll your eyes, tale as old as time. A seemingly ordinary man whom they recognised from church. He had a friendly smile and a pocket full of promises. The girls felt no reason to be afraid. It wasn't long before he offered Minnie and Fanny a penny, then added a small condition. You run halfway down the hollow and there'll be another halfpenny waiting.
Oh, no.
A simple game, harmless. The girls were all young and unsuspecting, and they saw nothing but the promise of pennies to spend on sweets, so it was just a bit of fun.
He was separating them.
Well, they ran down the hollow, all of them, and just as the man had said, he followed. When they stopped, breathless and excitable, he reached out and placed the coin into Minnie's hand, a promise kept and a reason to trust him.
Yeah.
Then the smartly dressed man made another offer. He said he would pick the girls some blackberries if they followed him into Mr. Chalcroft's field, which was close by through a gate off the lane. All 3 girls went willingly. At first everything seemed harmless. Their new acquaintance kept his word and picked blackberries for the youngsters, just as he said he would. But after a short while his tone shifted. He told Minnie and Lizzie it would be a good idea for them to head home or to go and spend the pennies on some sweets. But Fanny didn't go with them. Instead, the man bent down, lifted the sweet child into his arms and started to carry her away back up through the hollows.
Wait, so he did separate the sisters. Fanny was 8.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This was the last time her little sister and her friend would ever see her. Most sources say that the girls didn't raise the alarm for hours, but this bothered me. Like, why wouldn't they have gone to tell an adult if he'd scooped this girl up? It just didn't ring true. And there are conflicting stories, but a couple of sources I found claimed that the girls actually did go and tell Minnie's mother, but she assumed they were fibbing and sent them back out to play.
Oh, no.
It's unclear where Minnie and Lizzie headed to next, and perhaps they went to spend the money that the man had given them, but what we do know is that they didn't go back home until about 5 o'clock in the evening, so it had been about 3 hours since they last saw Fanny.
Oh, he's long gone.
When Lizzie returned home without her sister, their mother Harriet quizzed the children, who told her what had happened and that Fanny had gone away with a man. Minnie described the man as wearing a black coat over a light-coloured waistcoat and trousers, and said he also had on a tall hat. Harriet reacted instantly and quickly enrolled the help of a good friend and neighbour, Mrs. Gardner. and together with Lizzie and Minnie, they all headed out towards the hollows to go and look for Fanny. Between 5:30 and 6 p.m, when the women and girls were nearing the area where Fanny was last seen, they saw a man leaving through a gate which led from the hollows to Flood Meadow. Minnie said, "That is the man that gave us 3 pennies. He heard the girl and argued, saying, 'No, it was only 3 halfpennies.'"
Oh, he didn't deny that it was him.
The women then quizzed him about why he'd given the girls money in the first place, and he didn't respond.
Did they know him? Did they recognise him from church?
Don't think so. The girls had, but he was just another face in the crowd, I guess.
Oh.
I imagine extremely fraught and frantic by now, though, especially realising everything the young girls had said was actually true. Mrs. Gardner asked him what he had done with the child, but he said he'd not seen her since he left her playing by the gate. So he'd admitted seeing her and seeing the girls. The neighbour, Mrs. Gardner, then said to the girl's mother, Harriet, "Why don't you give him in charge?" Which I had to look up, but it meant make a citizen's arrest, basically, take him to the police.
Okay.
Harriet said nothing. I think she was just in shock. But the man responded, "I'm quite willing to go with you to the police." Mrs. Gardner then took hold of the man by his arm and demanded his name. He refused to indulge her and calmly said, "No matter about my name, you will find me at Mr. Clement's office if you want me." The man spoke softly, calmly. He was present and unnerved.
Who's Mr. Clements?
It's a solicitor's in the town.
Okay.
He seemed respectable enough, and when he suggested the girl was likely off playing in the fields, he had an air of respectability, and the women saw little option but to take his word and to continue looking for the child. That was their priority.
Yeah, this is just early times gaslighting.
Yeah. The man then headed down the lane towards Basingstoke Road, which led to Mr. Chalcroft's hop garden. So you probably know, but hops are the flowers used in brewing beer, so they add bitterness, aroma and flavour, and Hampshire at the time was one of the main areas in the UK for growing hops, before Kent took over as the UK's hop hotspot.
Well done for being able to say that.
So news of the missing girl by now was casting a web over the small town and heightening the sense of unease that had been building, because there were rumours around that this little girl was missing. And by 7 p.m, when Fanny had not returned home for supper, which most kids, on a summer's day, you'd think that they would...
When your belly rumbles, you come home.
That's it. Especially in those days. They didn't have watches and clocks and all that sort of stuff. They just, I'm hungry or it's getting dark. We've said that before, haven't we?
Yeah.
But the summer light was beginning to fade, and the seriousness of the situation peaked, and neighbours actually stepped out of their homes to join the search, aware now that something was certainly not okay. One of the people involved in searching for Fanny was local labourer Thomas Gates, who had caught wind of the girl being seen near Mr. Chalcroft's hop garden. So he went there to search, which is common sense, that's where she's been seen. It was approximately 7:40 in the evening when dread swallowed this Crimean War veteran. He entered the hop garden and noticed a bloody child's dress laying amongst the dirt. As he encroached further into the hop garden, he made the most gruesome and horrifying discovery. Thomas found the dirty, bloodied head of a girl laying upon 2 hop poles. Her eyes had been gouged out, her ear removed, and 2 gashes extended from her mouth around her temple.
Oh my God. If that guy is the one who's done it, how has he managed to be so he must have been a psychopath.
Yeah.
Not a doctor.
Not a doctor.
No, I mean, I'm not a doctor.
No, he wasn't either. Police Constable Thomas Light and engine driver Charles White, who were also out searching for the child, arrived shortly after Mr. Gates in the hop garden. They found him slumped on the ground, shaken and utterly distraught.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be, just...
I just thank God it was not her mum that found her, or is her dad on the scene?
Her dad's about, but he's off elsewhere at this time.
Okay. Or one of the other little girls.
And the thing is, the sources say that she had checked the hop garden. The women had been up there and no sign, so...
Well, it's safe to venture somewhere that you know has already been searched. To hide someone,
that's
isn't it?
Yeah.
Or to leave someone. Because that looks like... You said her head was on a pole.
Yeah, it's unclear as to whether it was like displayed on an upright pole or just on the ground on hot poles, because hot poles were used for the vine plants to grow up.
To go up. Because that's a display.
Yeah. Most articles make it sound like it was displayed like that, but I couldn't find conclusive proof.
Yeah, it's quite far back, so...
Yeah. And this is gruesome. Fanny had been completely mutilated. So some sources have included detailed descriptions of the injuries and the extent of the horror inflicted upon this poor child, but I'm going to keep it brief.
So wait, they found the rest of her body?
I'll go into that, but you can go read further. Like, our listeners can go read further. We'll put the source links in, as we always do, and if that's your inclination, then...
And we're not judging you?
No, it's just, it's icky.
And from last month...
Gemma is,
Yeah, I cannot deal with things like that.
No. So this is... Bear in mind, this is actually a summary.
Oh, God.
But it's absolutely horrible, and this is just a summary. The girl had been stabbed multiple times in the trunk of her body and dissected into more than 20 parts, which were strewn about the hop garden.
Oh, so it wasn't just the head... Hang on. So the hop garden was checked, nothing
The hop
there.
garden is massive, though, you've got to bear in mind. It is huge, and it's like rows of tall plants.
Oh, so this war veteran, he was walking the land to see. Okay.
I think he actually helped to maintain the garden as well. There was one thing that said that. But also, a mother looking for her child, she'd have probably peeked in or over the hedge and called her name, and not there.
Because nobody's expecting... sorry. Right,
so,
let's get it over with.
Yeah, Fanny had been disemboweled, decapitated and dismembered. It took the men more than a day to bring all the parts together.
Oh my God.
And some parts were never recovered, including her breastbone and her vagina.
Oh my God.
Her eyes were recovered from the River Wey by police officers, Waters and Masterman, separate times on the same day.
They found her eyes in a river?
In the river, yeah.
Is that because somebody said where they were, or...?
I think they were just looking everywhere and probably following trails of blood.
But to find eyeballs...
I know.
And
I couldn't imagine that. You'd think that they'd float away down, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd think the current would take them. And the breastbone and...
Vagina and the intestines. Because she'd been hollowed out, basically.
The bones from the vagina, or...
I'm not sure. The vagina, it just
So
says,
it's obviously
not
sexually motivated. And he didn't want people to realise that he had raped this child. So the best thing to do was this.
I think so, and a lot of people think so.
I can't.
And I was trying to think as well, this was actually before Jack the Ripper. Because I was thinking maybe he was somehow copycatting or something. But
this is the bit I never get. I know with... Sorry to interrupt, but...
No,
I know with mental illness, or with people who are... Psychopathy is actually not... If I'm right in thinking this, they don't consider it a mental illness. It's just what somebody is, but I could be wrong on that, so please correct me. But how these people... Do these ideas just come into their heads? Have they seen something before? Have they always just thought about it? Because that's not... I don't use the word normal lightly, but that is not normal.
It's not normal. And
to be able to do it...
One source said later that he would blame alcohol, but other people said that he was sober, teetotal sober. It's really... And
they would have been able to see if it's the guy...
I'm sorry, but alcohol...
If you were on a bender, they would have known.
But also, that wouldn't make you... That doesn't make people do that.
Well, I think if somebody's on medication and then they drink, I think it can obviously mess with your mind, but I don't get how it could make you able to do that. I've always said
he had the forethought to give the girls money to separate them.
Yeah, whether he knew he was going to dismember her at that point. But I've always thought, if I had to stab somebody, say I was trying to save my kids or whatever, I would struggle, because it's the thought of the knife going in. It's that physical thing. It's why so many people shoot, because you're not actually attached to it.
You're a step away.
That's what it is. Yeah. Sorry, I've not slept much. you're a step away from it. So to be that close, and then you also hear about people who have started cutting somebody up and then being like, yeah, actually, no, I can't do this.
But then that's why they say about strangulation being such an intimate, violent crime, because we've said this before in our episodes, it's not like in the films, it's not
a 2-second job
done. It's
there's a lot to it. You're looking in their eyes.
You're looking in their face whilst you're snuffing.
There's something just not quite right with somebody that can do something like that.
No, this is not a pleasant case at all. So Fanny's remains were wrapped in cloth and apron and initially taken to Leathern Bottle, which was a pub on nearby Amory Street in the town, and the building still stands, but it's not a pub anymore. Whilst the men were busy gathering up the girls' remains, other members of the search party had to head out to Tanhouse Lane to deliver the unimaginable news to the girl's mother.
Because at this time, was there a police force at this time? Or
there was a police force. Yeah. So some of the, because I think I said some of the police had already arrived. Yeah, Police Constable Tom Light had already arrived at the.
I'm just thinking them taking the remains to the pub and things.
Yeah, I think it was just a close building where
it makes sense. Yeah, it does make sense. It's
that was kind of the first place that they thought. It's horrible, but there was so much of her, and unfortunately they didn't secure the area, so there was actually lots and lots of people by now going to try and help.
Yeah,
they thought they were helping by collecting up parts and wrapping it up and taking it.
You can't
they were
blame them
trampling
for that.
a scene.
Think about the day,
but
the days it was. And I suppose the only other places might have been big enough would have been a church, which you don't want to bring that into there, or a school, and you're not.
No way.
Yeah.
So whilst the men were gathering up the girls' remains, these other ones went down and they had to tell her mum. And upon hearing the horror that had befallen her little girl, Harriet started running towards Butts, which was in the south of the town where her husband was playing cricket. But she was completely overcome and stricken with grief, and she collapsed before she even reached the end of the road.
Oh, so word hadn't got to the cricket pitch that something was going on?
No.
That's weird.
And the neighbours ended up having to carry Harriet home, and others went on to deliver the news to George Adams, who was the girl's father. He responded by rushing home, grabbing his shotgun and heading out to look for the murderer.
Well, that makes sense.
He was disarmed by his neighbours, which is probably for the best.
Well, because he would have gone to jail and then his wife would have had to cope with the death of a child, dealing with her younger sister who's going to be traumatised beyond belief.
There was actually 3 other siblings as well.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
And him in jail. So, yeah, it was right that they stopped him, but I totally get that.
Yeah, that's a...
Don't condone it, but I get it.
Don't condone it, but that is an understandable reaction, isn't it?
A knee-jerk reaction. Well, if in the news yesterday, the guy that plays Reacher, I've forgotten his name, you know Jack Reacher, it's a TV show, he was in...
Wasn't that Tom Cruise at one point?
Yeah, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I've read all the books.
That's like Ben Affleck as Batman.
Or Bambi.
I nearly said Bambi.
The guy that plays him yesterday, there's video footage, he was on a motorbike and his kids were on littler bikes on their street, and he reckons a neighbour stood in front of him purposely, so he crashed his bike. There is video, but it's really ambiguous. I don't know who's in the right and who's in the wrong, but he leathered the guy. And now...
Leathered means beat up, smashed up, decked.
Which, I mean, these kids could have been seriously injured, but I don't know the full story, so I don't have a side on that, but I get it. I get the knee-jerk reaction of,
Yeah. And the thing is, whatever someone's reaction is, whether it's right or wrong, that is what it is. It's a reaction.
Yeah, it's not thought out, it's not premeditated other actions.
Like other actions.
Sorry, I keep butting him.
No, it's fine. We are conversational. So, meanwhile, as concerned members of the community had been out desperately searching for this missing child, and obviously we know that news hadn't spread all over the town because it hadn't reached the cricket ground. One of the clerks from Clement's solicitors, Mr. Fredrich Baker, and his colleague, who was also a junior solicitor's clerk, was Mr. Morris Biddle. They'd been to the Swan Tap, which was a hotel bar, to have a couple of pints of ale. And this the Swan Tap was in the high street opposite their clerk's office, their solicitor's office.
And had the well-dressed man turned up at their office?
I'll get there.
Oh, sorry.
As the men left the pub, Baker headed to the chemist to buy some scent, and Biddle was making his way back to the office when he heard the news of the discovery in the hop garden. He was also informed that Baker was suspected of being involved.
Oh.
So the clerk that he'd been drinking with. And the conversation that they'd just been having over a pint of ale suddenly made nauseating sense. And I'll go into that in a bit.
Is this a really early doors paedophile ring?
No. I'll elaborate on their conversation later.
Okay, guys, I'm going to shut up for a while and just listen.
It's all right. Biddle headed back across to the chemist and actually confronted Baker, exclaiming, "They say you've murdered a child." Baker denied this, and he agreed to return to the office with his colleague to discuss the situation. Now, after taking statements from 2 girls, Lizzie and Minnie, and from the women Harriet and Mrs. Gardner, the case had already begun to take shape. So it was around 9 p.m. when Police Superintendent William Cheney and PC George Watkins arrived at the offices of Clement's solicitors to take charge of 29-year-old Fredrich Baker.
Oh.
What they found was unexpected. Baker wasn't nervous, he wasn't pacing or anxious. Instead, he was leaning casually against a desk, smoking a cigar, calm, composed, as if nothing at all had happened.
Not even offended that this is being said about him?
No. Cheney wasted no time. He stepped forward and asked Baker directly, had he heard about the murder? Baker didn't hesitate, he didn't falter. "Yes," he said. "And they say it's me, don't they?" It was an answer that hung in the air. I mean, was it denial or confession? It was an unsettling moment. A stunned silence fell fleetingly before Cheney gathered his thoughts and confirmed to Baker that he was in fact a suspect. Then Superintendent Cheney pressed further. He asked Baker if he carried a weapon. And what happened next shifted the tone of the encounter altogether. Baker calmly reached into his pockets and produced not 1 but 2 knives.
Oh.
One with 2 blades and one with 3, so I'm assuming they must have been like pocket knives.
Yeah, switchblades.
Switchblades, yeah. But something on one of the knives immediately drew Cheney's eye. There on the edge of the largest of the blades was a smear of blood.
What?
In that moment, the conversation was over. Baker was placed under arrest for the murder of Fanny Adams, and the investigation took a sharp, irreversible turn.
Wait, stop. Sweet Fanny
Collaborate
Adams.
and listen.
Sweet Fanny Adams is a saying. Is it after her?
Dun,
You
dun,
little
dun!
minx.
You get a star. Gold star for
Yay.
Jem.
I mean, I wish we didn't have to... I wish it wasn't a thing now if it's after her.
Yeah. So, Baker was escorted to the police station on Butts Road in Alton. It was a stark, cold building where officers were used to processing shoplifters and like petty criminals, because really nothing much had happened in this place before. But this felt very different. If their suspicions were right, if this man was the killer, what kind of person were they bringing into custody? This crime must have been committed by a madman. But madmen don't hold down respectable jobs and go to church, do they?
They didn't know about things then, did they? That's what he counted on.
Yeah, respectable. Looks normal. Yeah. Meanwhile, already at the station, so Fanny's remains had been taken to the station by now and laid out, and Dr. Louis Leslie was called upon to perform a post-mortem examination on the parts. Again, there is a detailed scientific analysis which I can share, but I'm only going to mention what I think is necessary because it's icky. And
well, it's to protect our listeners as well. If you want to look into it further, Victoria will share the link, yeah.
But I think the post-mortem on the girl's head is important. So Dr. Leslie found a cut which completely divided the scalp. He claimed the blow must have been very severe and might have been made with either a bludgeon or a stone or rock. He recorded blows to the right and left side of her head which had caused hemorrhaging, and the doctor said this trauma would have been enough to cause insensibility but not immediate death, although death would follow. He believed the child was stunned and would not have suffered through the dismemberment.
Oh my god, that's horrifying. So her heart was still beating while she was being dismembered, essentially.
Yeah.
That's
whilst
horrible.
he began, at least, yeah.
And all this happened really quickly from her being taken. 3 hours is not a long time.
No, it's not. They said that an unskilled person could have done it in the manner that it was done. They said an unskilled person could have done it within half an hour and an hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The doctor was also asked to examine the suspect, Fredrich Baker, upon his arrival into custody. I couldn't find out which order the examinations happened, though.
Physical examination or assessment?
Both. So
because he wouldn't have been qualified to
do
an
not
assessment.
an assessment, sorry. So he did a physical examination, but also a forensic, like, of his clothes and stuff.
Yeah, so looking to see if there's stuff under his nails, cuts, bruises, but they weren't
no
looking to see if there was something wrong. Yeah.
No psych evaluation or anything, no. So once at the station, Baker's clothing was removed and something immediately stood out. The left leg of his trousers and both sleeves of his shirt were damp, as if they'd been recently washed or scrubbed. Then came a more troubling detail. Faint but unmistakable bloodstains on both sleeves of his shirt. Blood dispelled by water was also found on both thighs of his trousers, so he'd tried to clean it up, essentially.
He popped out on his lunch break, brutalised a child, and then just thought, oh, I'll just mop it all off. He didn't even have a hand dryer back in those days, so I'll just mop this. He didn't go home and change, or he didn't. Wow, okay.
I know.
Ego.
So he tried to wash it away, and there were other signs of dirt and dishevelment, which couldn't be easily explained. Notably, when Dr. Leslie examined Baker, he bore no sign of injury, no cuts, no scratches, no abrasions. So the blood didn't come from him. Mm-hmm. So when asked Baker to explain the blood, he had no answer. And when questioned about why his clothing was wet, particularly the soaked trouser leg, Baker responded calmly, "Yes, unfortunately for me they are wet, but that proves nothing. I'm in the habit of getting into water."
Oh, okay then, mate.
Yeah.
Wait, so is Baker the well-dressed man?
He's the well-dressed man, yeah. Later, investigators would hear from a local boy who claimed he had seen a man at the river's edge appearing to be washing himself, and described the clothing the same way as the girls had described the clothing. But this boy was not the only person to have seen Baker or someone matching his description during the previous Saturday afternoon. So this all happened really quickly.
Yeah.
All this process happened really fast. So on Tuesday the 3rd of September 1867, Hampshire's Deputy Coroner Mr. Harfield opened the inquest into the death of Fanny Adams. One by one witnesses were called. Little Minnie Warner, Harriet Adams, Mrs. Gardner, each adding another piece to the growing picture. Then came one of the most heartbreaking moments, I think. Earlier in the day, Fanny's father, George Adams, had been asked to do it's unthinkable, to identify what they had recovered of his little girl's remains, they'd sewn her back together as best they could.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that speaks to Coraline, doesn't it?
It's awful. It's just...
They didn't, back then, in their defence, they didn't realise the trauma and what damage that causes someone. I mean, you shouldn't be showing them their child like that.
No.
It should have been enough that her clothes were there.
But it wasn't even that he just had to do that. So then he had to go into this inquest and, like, grieving and shattered, and somehow he managed to give his statement and confirm that, yes, it was his little girl.
Because you'll do anything you can for your kids.
It makes my heart go all weird.
And back then, men particularly did not talk.
No.
So
they said he was just...
never the same.
He was absolutely broken. Just completely broken. Then they brought out a succession of eyewitnesses. Like, this guy did not hide
Had
himself.
you tried anything before? Did anyone come... Sorry. Because I'm just thinking you don't go from 0 to 60.
I haven't got the information yet, but I haven't had a chance to look, but I will, because there's mention of something and it made me go, hold on a minute, but I'll tell you about that in a bit. Okay. So the eyewitnesses that came forward, one was named Anne Burrett, who resided near the church in Alton. She said she saw Baker on Saturday afternoon shortly before 3 heading toward Alton alongside the footpath in front of Mr. Chalcroft's house. She then saw him again coming through the churchyard between 5 and 6. She took particular notice because he fixed his gaze upon her and her little girl and just kept looking around them. And this made her feel really unnerved, and she described his high hat and his light trousers but didn't recollect a waistcoat. Then Emma Smith noticed a man leaving the Chalcrofts hop garden, entering the lane known as the Hollows between 5 and 5:30 on Saturday afternoon. And she said she did not recognise him and would not recognise him again if she saw him, but she described his clothing, which again included a tall black hat, light trousers, a waistcoat and a long dark coat.
And did none of these people recognise him as from the local solicitors or from the church?
I don't know.
Was he new to the area, or...?
He'd only been in the area for 12 months.
That's still quite a long time for a small community. And when I said about a paedophile ring earlier, it was because I thought that Mr. Clements and this Mr. Baker...
Biddle.
Where did I get Clements
Clements
from?
is the solicitors.
Oh, right,
office,
okay.
So Biddle and Baker were the two clerks.
Biddle and Baker. For some reason, I thought because the guy had said, oh, you can find me at Clements.
Yeah.
I didn't link initially. That's why I said to you a minute ago, wait, are we saying this is the well-dressed man? Because I thought the well-dressed man was one person, Baker was somebody in, but right, okay,
No,
so...
Baker is the well-dressed man. Biddle is his colleague who's a junior clerk.
And are you going to say what they had that conversation?
I am. So I think this next eyewitness actually knew him because she named him, and so Elizabeth Warner said under oath that she had seen Fredrich Baker go up the hollow at about 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, but she had not seen him return. And the next account is the one you've been waiting for.
Wait, so 5 o'clock, that was after he took her and after he'd done whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he went back and forth. So he went up there at 1:30 when he took the girl first, came back somewhere after 3 to the office, then went back up 5, 6, I think, by these accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, because 3 he was heading back towards Alton. Then between 5 and 6 he went back the other way up to the hop garden.
Okay. Right. So hit me.
This is a chilling account of that Saturday afternoon, and this came from Maurice Biddle, the junior clerk that worked in the same office with Baker. And I'm actually going to read this as it was printed in the Weymouth Telegram on Thursday the 5th of September 1867. About 5:45 o'clock the prisoner came to the office, but he could not say when he left. He seemed very excited. He said to the witness that as he came along the meadows he met with some women who asked him what he had done with the child. He further said that if anything happened to the child, it would be awkward for him. Witness went over to the Swan Tap to have a glass of ale, and prisoner followed. He then told witness that he was going away on Monday, and referred to a similar case in Guildford.
Oh.
Prisoner first told witness that the child was missing. He said he knew nothing of her, and that he only gave her some halfpence. While they were at the tap, the Boots said he was going away, remarking that he could turn his hand to anything, but Baker could not. Baker said, "Oh, I could turn butcher."
Oh. He's saying he's going to leave on Monday and it could be awkward if she's found, but he spread her all over a hop garden. What did he think, birds were going to take her away, or what was his...
No idea.
I guess if you're in the throes of some kind of madness, you might think like something, but...
It was near Flood Meadow, and that had been known to flood. That's hence the
name.
But
it wasn't raining then, and they were looking for the child.
It was a sunny summer day, and people were out looking, and he knew they were out looking. And he must have gone back.
And he was talking about it.
He'd gone back, so...
Yeah, and he was talking about it, so he wasn't covering himself.
And I wondered, even though they said this was done in a frenzy, I wondered if he'd hidden her somewhere complete first time.
Yeah.
When he left at 3 o'clock and then gone back, but said
if you didn't want to be caught and you wanted to give yourself till Monday to get away, why would you?
It doesn't make any
sense.
It makes no sense.
But some people, you can't work them out.
There isn't sense in it, is there?
No, definitely not.
So the coroner, when he was talking to Biddle, asked if Baker was sober then, and the witness responded he seemed very much excited, and he had subsequently told Baker that he had heard the child's head had been found.
But had it even been found then? And if the head had been found, why was he standing there just having a casual pint? And
I know. Weird. So William Walker was another person that came into this, a painter in the town. He said that he'd been in the hop garden on Sunday helping with efforts, because, like I say, lots of people were involved in cleaning it up and stuff. and he noticed a large stone that had been thrown into the hedge close to where the child's head had been found. It had blood, flesh, and long strands of hair on it, and so it was removed as evidence.
Like, he didn't hide anything.
And they think that this was probably what gave the crushing blow.
Yeah, the one that split her skull.
Yeah.
But he took the time to take her eyeballs.
I know.
I can't... I'm going to stop trying
And
to
there
work
was
this one out.
conflicting as to whether he cut them out or gouged them out as well. And there's also conflicting because they said that with the knife being so small, he wasn't just cutting, he was hacking and tearing. Oh. Like with his hands.
You'd think he would be clarted in blood from top to bottom, not
You
just
would,
his
wouldn't
cut.
you?
Yeah, I don't...
I think because...
Unless he took his clothes off to do it, cleaned himself in the river, and then put his clothes back on and noticed there was blood splatters.
Potentially.
Oh my goodness! But
because you don't know what he was trying to do to the girl. That's the thing. So,
and also, if anybody could come upon you, then
yeah.
But he's obviously had foresight. So he's not in a...
I'll put a picture of the hop gardens on because it I think it would be easy to hide amongst the hops.
Yeah, I'm going to have a look. You carry on, but I'm going to have a look at a picture of hop gardens.
So before the inquest concluded, Baker was actually given the chance to cross-examine the witnesses. So Baker, the suspect.
Yep.
But he declined. But it made me wonder what kind of privileges were extended to prime suspects in those days, because that just seemed really odd to me.
Well, it still happened up until recently. They were
Really?
allowed to... Well, they have the right for... Yeah, so if you stand up in court for yourself, if you defend yourself,
right.
they can then quiz their
This
rape
was
victim.
only an inquest at this point. This was only an inquiry. It wasn't the trial. So
these hop gardens look a bit more like what I imagine in America the cornfields to look like.
yeah,
They're really tall.
Really tall. Yeah, massive. I think they grow up to like 20 foot.
So actually now, because I had in my head a picture of like a garden, somebody's garden, and some flowers.
No, they make it sound like that because a garden, but it's more of a.
It's
more of like a commercial field, like vines.
Yeah.
There used to be one near.
It's like a maze.
I think there used to be one near Framlingham. And I remember when I went to Belgium, we drove past loads. They're really, they're like a maze. He could definitely hide amongst them. I think.
I do understand why he thought he could get away with that there.
So, if there was still any doubt about Baker's guilt, what officers found next squashed it completely. During a search of his office desk and kept in a locked drawer, they uncovered Baker's diary. And inside, an entry dated Saturday the 24th of August stopped them cold. It read, Saturday 24. Killed a young girl. It was fine and hot.
Oh, what the hell?
By the end of the day of the inquest, investigations had narrowed the window of Fanny's death down to sometime between 1:30 and 3:30 in the afternoon on Saturday the 24th of August 1867. But despite everything they'd uncovered, the sheer ferocity of the attack and the mutilation of the sweet child meant a precise cause of death could never be determined. And yet, when her death was formally recorded, the certificate carried a stark and definitive conclusion. Cause of death, injuries inflicted by Fredrich Baker, brackets, murder.
That was on the death certificate?
That was on the death certificate.
I wonder when they stopped doing that. But back then, I mean...
But he hadn't even been to trial by now, so it's a bit like, whoa.
Yeah, you couldn't do it now.
No.
And the reason everything happened so quick is back then they probably didn't have to wait for warrants, and like if he lawyered up or solicited up or whatever,
there wasn't so much red tape. And, So word spread quickly about the town, and before long angry locals had discovered where the inquest was being held, and a furious crowd gathered outside the Duke Inn. The atmosphere was just thick with rage, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Baker had blackened the heart of this community, and now that anger was spilling into the streets. Inside, police held off for hours, waiting for the right moment to move him, and when they finally did, it was through a back door. What followed was absolute chaos. Officers ran at full speed, pushing Baker along as the mob surged after them, shouting. They were shouting the most horrendous vile threats. It was.
I feel sorry for the officers because they probably feel the same about him.
Yeah, they were hurling whatever they could get their hands on. Missiles flew, and Baker somehow made it back to the police station unharmed. But several officers weren't so lucky, and they were caught in the violence when the crowd closed in, and they were injured. There were injuries.
They didn't die, did they?
They didn't die. There were injuries, though. So a verdict of willful murder had been established, and Baker remained in custody. He was sent to Winchester Jail to await trial, which would be held on December the 5th, 1867.
So was that like a year to the day? Did you say just it happened in August?
Same year. So same year.
Oh, I thought something else happened that date. Sorry.
On the afternoon of, so we're going back a bit here, but I need to mention it. He was being held in Winchester Jail by this point, but on the afternoon of Wednesday, September the 4th in 1867, the community gathered alongside loved ones of the child to say farewell to Fanny Adams. Her remains interred into the ground in a tiny casket at Alton Cemetery. A collection was made which helped pay for a headstone for Fanny, which still stands today. And there was a photo which came up a lot of Minnie and Lizzie stood beside the grave of their little sister and friend.
As youngsters?
As youngsters,
oh.
Yeah. The inscription on the headstone reads, "Sacred to the memory of Fanny Adams, aged 8 years and 4 months, who was cruelly murdered on Saturday the 24th of August 1867. Fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both and body and soul in hell." So flowers and wreaths were placed on her coffin and at her graveside. The funeral service was led by Reverend W. Wilkins, the curate of Thedden, and in the parish register, alongside the official record of Fanny's burial, a chilling note had been added thereto, "Cruelly murdered by Fredrich Baker." So a powerful statement, but a telling one, because again, at this point, he had not even stood trial. That leads me to the trial on Thursday the 5th of December 1867, which was at Winchester Castle. So day one of the trial, Fredrich Baker accused of willful murder of 8-year-old Fanny Adams. During the I won't go into it because I've said most of it with the inquest stuff, but during the trial the defence disputed young Minnie's description of Baker because she was so young. They were just like, oh, we can throw that out, can't we? They claimed that the knives found on him were too small to have dismembered a child, and they also tried to claim that the absence of a comma after the word killed in his diary entry meant it could not be considered a confession.
Right, okay.
Bad grammar.
They were clutching at straws, weren't they?
Absolutely.
They didn't have anything else to defend him with.
No. So the defence also argued insanity. They claimed Baker's father had been violent and even...
Wait. Why are they claiming insanity if they're saying he didn't do it?
I know.
That's insanity.
That's insanity.
You can't do both. Pick a lane, mate.
They said that his father was violent towards his children and even prone to kill them. It's like, surely, how can he be prone to kill them unless he's killed them? So I didn't understand that. They said that Baker's cousin had been sent to asylums 4 times, but we know that now that some of the reasons that they used to send people to asylums were not actually...
Neurodivergence.
Yeah, neurodivergence. Even dyslexia, I've heard, and things like that.
Delays, language delays, yeah.
So that, you can't say, oh, his cousin went to an asylum, so he must be off his rocker. And they told the jury that Baker's sister had died from brain fever, but brain fever is an outdated term, and we now know that it's a symptom of numerous illnesses, including meningitis, syphilis, bacterial infections. So, there's so many possibilities of just illnesses that are left untreated. They also claimed that Baker had attempted suicide after being jilted by a lover. So why, like you say, were they claiming insanity, especially if he's innocent anyway?
Yeah, you don't get to have both lines. You pick a line of defence and you go with it.
Yeah. But a little segue here into why they might have tried the insanity defence. So a new law was passed in 1861, and this was called the Offences Against the Person Act of 1861. It was intended to clean up England's chaotic rules around violent crime. Before then, assault or anything worse was defined by a confusing mix of really old, outdated laws and court rulings, and people often still settled disputes, even at this time, with duels or bare-knuckle fights. The Act drew a clearer line between what society tolerated and what the state would actually punish, and it reshaped how violence was handled in the eyes of the law.
Yeah.
But with this, punishment changed as well. So corporal punishment for minor crimes had been largely abolished, whereby beforehand they would hand out the death penalty for even
Theft.
Yeah, pretty much any crime.
Yeah.
They had that up their sleeve if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But now the death penalty with these new rules was mostly reserved for murder and definitely for treason. That shift opened the door for more criminals and their lawyers to argue insanity as a defence in murder cases, because it was no longer just about proving guilt. With this new law, murder trials, it became a battle of minds, and it reshaped the justice landscape forever. But they were using it to, and they still do, I think. So in some cases, they try and use it. They try and go, oh, he's mad, so send him here.
You can't say mad.
Sorry.
Or off your rocker.
Sorry.
Look, here's the thing. They do use it, but not as much as people think. I get really sick of seeing posts on Facebook. Oh, well, they'll just say that they're mad, so they'll get the insanity plea. It's not as clear cut as that. There's so many assessments and things people have to go through right now. And a psychopath can get through those assessments and look like what they are, even though they don't want you to think they're a psychopath. They will get through.
Yeah, wasn't it Edmund Kemper that was like, he knew everything about all these assessments and stuff?
And what was he called again? The high school? No. Campus killer. He was the one who had sex with his mum's head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he actually, if you've ever watched Mindhunter.
I loved Mindhunter.
So did I, and I loved the actor who played Ed Kemper, because he was bang on. And Ed Kemper,
the casting in that programme was some of the best casting I have ever seen in my life.
You can watch that and you can feel for Ed Kemper because you hear about what he's gone through, but you have to remember he was a very clever guy. He knew what he was doing, he knew what he was saying. He handed himself in.
Yeah.
You know, and so he wasn't a good person, but he was a very intelligent person.
Yeah, totally agree.
He had them buying him pizza and everything.
He is fascinating.
He is.
And actually, that goes towards an argument, because he's still alive, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is still alive.
That goes towards an argument against corporal punishment, because actually what they learned from his mind, and that whole programme, was about what can we learn from these people.
Let's not... Yes, he's fascinating. Yes, it has helped shape profiling.
Yeah.
Which I don't entirely agree with all profiling. But anyway, it's helped shape that. But if he died tomorrow, none of us should actually really care.
Oh, no.
But I think the problem with shows like that is sometimes they humanise them too much. And I think that's quite dangerous. That's why you've got women writing to people in jail.
Yeah, no, I don't get all that stuff. But I did a lot of research on him when I did the criminology course. And I'll say I was all for corporal punishment beforehand. And then when I realised actually how much could be lost from what you can learn... It's a much bigger argument. It's a much bigger picture than
I don't done agree a bad with corporal punishment, because there's so many people that are going to jail or have faced corporal punishment. It turns out it wasn't them.
Yeah, I think
our
systems
are too
pushy. I think you've got to be able to prove guilt, but they still don't, do they? Sometimes. Still putting innocent people away. But they can prove
guilt against somebody who's actually innocent. That's the scary part. Any of us could be caught up in a situation where it can be made to look like you've done whatever it is. There's a lot of corruption. And anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
No. So back to Baker's trial. The courtroom had heard it all. They'd listened to witnesses' testimony, absolutely horrifying details of a child's murder, and the defence's desperate plea that Fredrich Baker was not responsible due to insanity, but the jury didn't linger. It took just 15 minutes. 15 minutes?
How long was the trial?
1 day.
1 day and 15 minutes.
They delivered a unanimous verdict of guilty. The entire trial lasted, a single day. So on December the 6th, 1867, Fredrich Baker was officially found guilty of the brutal murder of Sweet Fanny Adams, sealing his fate, and Fredrich Baker was sentenced to death by hanging. The execution took place on Christmas Eve at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was in front of apparently an orderly crowd of more than 5,000 people.
I hate that they used to do it publicly.
This was the last public hanging outside of Winchester Prison.
Oh, wow, okay.
News articles reported that Baker approached the drop unaided and emotionless. After the executioner placed the cap on him and adjusted the rope, prayers were extended for 2 minutes, and in this time Baker's knees began to shake and his hands were clutched.
Good.
Yeah, he went...
I hope he was a man of God and he knew he was going to go meet his
Funny,
maker.
you should say that. So shortly before his execution, he had confessed to the chaplain that he murdered the child, but he denied violating her. He stated that he had mutilated the body before washing and oiling his knife.
He doesn't see that as violating.
I know. I think he meant sexually. But I still think he could have been lying. Yeah. So, yeah. I think if he's admitting that, oh, yeah.
Did they find the breastbone and...
Never. No. But he'd also, by this time, written a letter to George Adams.
What?
So he confessed the murder and he begged for forgiveness, saying if he obtained that, he would die happy.
Oh, well, my aim in life is to make sure you die happy.
I know, right? He'd actually told...
That's a power play.
He told the father in this letter that he had become enraged by the girls crying, but it had been done without any pain or struggle.
She wouldn't have been crying if you hadn't been anywhere near her.
Yeah, just done whatever you were doing to her. So, in the good old British whatever, just 4 days after his execution on the 28th of December in 1867, Madame Tussauds had added Fredrich Baker's death mask to their chamber of horrors, and children under 10 could see it for just sixpence.
Right, this is you mentioned these death masks recently. I can't remember why we were talking about them. But stop glorifying these people. Why is it their names that we all know, but we don't know
this
the
was
people's
another
names?
case where people had tried to go to the Hop Garden to collect souvenirs.
Why do you want a souvenir of that?
Exactly.
I think
what was going on in Victorian England?
It's not just then though. The stuff that people must collect now, like there'll be things like when a serial killer finally dies, buy the diaries of... Why would I want that? Buy the house of... Yeah. No.
I must admit though, when...
you're going to show you're a ghoul here.
No, I've been to Madame Tussauds, but this wasn't a time when we were going, but it was mentioned. We were in the car and I think Theo was... I don't know, he was very little. He was maybe 4, and I could just see him... Like, we'd mentioned Madame Tussauds and I could see him thinking, like, when you could see their cogs going. Uh-huh. And it had been quiet for a bit, and then he went, so this Madame Tussauds, was she a ninja? I was just like, I love my child so much.
I do love seeing people places that have tried to be Madame Tussauds, and you see the moulds of people, and you're like, who the hell is that? It's like if you ever go to, is it called Den in the Glen now? It used to be Storybook Glen. They've got like Shrek and stuff. The things are awful. They're horrifying.
Like
have a look, guys. Wax. It's funny. Yeah.
That's just reminded me of an aquarium I went to in Rhodes, and the sharks were like, have you seen the pictures of sharks with human teeth? It was like that. It was just, and they weren't preserved properly, so they were kind of all shriveled and like prunes.
Wait, an aquarium where this stuff was dead?
Oh yeah.
That's not an aquarium.
I know, what is that?
The key part of aquarium is water. Okay.
They weren't in water. It was horrible. It was one of the worst but funniest experiences. Anyway, so as you touched on earlier, if you've ever wondered, Sweet Fanny Adams is a cheeky British expression that owes its origin to the Royal Navy, because they think it was about 1889, sailors were issued compo rations, tins of unidentifiable meat, which they quickly dubbed Sweet Fanny Adams.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Referring to, this was referencing, the gruesome fate of the young girl. And over time...
That's not a cheeky say it. That's fucking disgusting.
I know. It was shortened to Sweet FA, meaning sweet nothing, and today it's often bluntly expressed as sweet fuck all.
Well, I will never use that saying again. That is horrifying. That's not... You can't talk about tinned meat looking like the body. That's horrible.
I think it's because it had no labels, so they didn't know what
care.
it was, so they would just...
I don't care. You don't name it after a child that's been murdered.
It's just bad taste, isn't it?
It's horrible. I can't believe you're not as horrified as me right now.
No, it is horrible. It's disgusting. I'm just laughing at your face. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm absolutely fuming here. Every episode I'm fuming about something.
I know. Sorry, I'm not allowed to pick my own episodes, see?
I am going to start
awful.
picking your episodes, but I'm going to say to
horrendous.
you, this is the episode you're doing and you're sticking with it.
It is. That is one of the most gruesome, the details, because it's been glorified because of this name and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of newspaper articles still in existence. A lot.
Poor girl.
So, yeah. And she was a beautiful, pretty little girl.
Doesn't matter if she was the ugliest. It doesn't
Well,
matter if she hit
just,
every branch on the
No, I'm
ugly
just saying
tree.
because there are pictures of her as well, and she was apparently older than her years and really cheery and just, yeah, it's so sad.
It's horrible.
So sad.
And it's so conniving, the splitting of the children, the premeditation of it.
Yeah, the premeditation, definitely. The coins, there was one article that said that he'd given Fanny a coin as well, and that was still in her hand that was recovered, but I couldn't find out conclusively. But everything about it is just horrendous.
Well, it'd be really interesting if you can find out about what
Like
the other thing was.
Yeah, the Guildford thing, because I thought, hold on a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how easy that will be to find, but I ran out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, horrendous, horrific.
Well, okay.
Sorry.
So, really interesting, but it just goes to show you how horrible people can be.
I thought it was interesting, the aspect of the law change as well, and why they started suddenly bringing in all these insanity arguments.
I get why they probably did think he was insane.
Because they would be then sent to an asylum instead of get corporal punishment, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But he must have been.
No, I don't think he was. He was.
Do you not?
It doesn't sound like it.
Because of the premeditation. He couldn't have. Oh, I don't know. I'm not.
He wasn't in a fugue or anything like that. He did it. He knew what it was. A fugue. He didn't know what he was doing.
Oh, a red mist, like.
Yeah. He wasn't in something like that because he was talking about it. He denied it to Harriet, and yeah.
But why didn't he just leave afterwards? Why did he hang about?
Probably for ego. He probably wanted to see the reaction of what he had done.
And going back to the hop garden?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. Right. Well, that's that.
Can you all hear the CEO snoring?
She is snoring. And we are going to get ready to head off. But please go on to wherever you listen to us. If you could leave us a review or a like or a follow, that would be excellent. A share would be amazing.
I need to give a quick shout out because I found out that we've got another listener who has listened to every episode and is up to date, and that is Kath Craig from Restitute.
Kathy! Thank you.
She's listened to every episode, so that's really good.
Oh,
thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
I also mentioned to Sarah that she got a little shout out.
Yeah, but I had to cut most of it out.
But no, that's okay. But she said she might like to come on at some point.
Oh, that would be really good.
Yeah.
Okay, we have decided to not waffle so much at the end of episodes, so we're just going to say...
Gemma's decided that. I just have to shut up.
Will you shut up?
See?
So, thank you for listening. We will be back next with my episode, which is going to be a 2-parter at least. I haven't decided if I'm going to give you them close together or make you wait, but we will get there. But there's so much information. There's so much. I'm going to have to write. There's bits I'm going to have to cut out. So, yeah.
No, give us it. Give us it all. Give it to me, baby.
I can't get it all written down. I would just... There's a report on it that's like 5 volumes long. I would have to just read that to you.
Crikey.
Yeah. So, yeah.
War and Peace.
Enjoy the sun, if you've got it. And if you don't, what? That's me laughing.
Apparently they're getting snow back down in East Anglia now.
They've got snow in Tenerife. Do you not see that in the news?
No.
There's snow in Tenerife. Anyway, Take care of yourself. Be kind.
Be good.
Bye.
Keep on trucking.